I'm Heyoka, here with Team Liquid, and I'm here with my dear, dear, dear friend, SolidJake. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I mean, this is the first global event. Happy to be here. Watching some nerds play video games.
We're at PAX.
PAX, yes.
You ever been to a PAX?
PAX East, first time at Prime.
Yeah, I've never been to one. It's a very interesting experience. There are like 25 times more people here than I thought there were going to be.
It's so different from your average esports event because you have nerds that just play Candy Crush. You have nerds that just play Skyrim, but they're all here having a good time. So it's fun to mingle with different flavored nerds.
So you've been in Heroes for quite a while. You were kind of one of the early, like super early adopters. How has the game been treating you?
Growth of the game in general is actually a lot lower than what we thought, to be honest, to be as frank as possible. But it's treating us super well. Like, Blizzard is insanely supportive, insanely helpful, giving us opportunities, flying us out, doing the NA Open, promoting our personal streams, all that stuff. So as a whole, I mean, I'm living the dream. I'm able to pay my bills by being full-time in Heroes, and that's ecstatic. I'm ecstatic about it.
It's good, yeah. Are you excited for BlizzCon?
Oh, man.
You going to get that BlizzCon casting spot?
I hope so. That's the dream, right? We're all working for it. I've been doing, like you said, I started making Heroes content before the alpha started. So this has been a long-time goal. It all started at BlizzCon when I played the game 2 years ago. So, yeah, that's the dream.
I'm pretty sure at that BlizzCon in 2013 we talked, and you said like then you were already ready to start doing content.
It was, yeah, I had planned it just because of, like, you know what, it's Blizzard. Blizzard games don't fail, right? If they release a game, it's going to be successful. And the game is enormously successful. It's just, there's a lot of tools that the game's lacking at this point in time to really be that top esport right now.
Do you think, so my personal opinion is sort of that one of the problems Heroes has is people just sort of lump it in with League and Dota, and their thought is like, oh, well, like I've already played those games. Do I really want to play another one? But I think Heroes is actually very, very different gameplay-wise.
Yeah. I would actually go as far to say that Heroes will spawn a new genre. It really isn't a League clone, like Infinite Crisis and all these other games that have tried and
It doesn't exist anymore.
Right. They closed their servers the day Heroes went live. And as sad as that is, it's because it's just another clone, right? There's nothing interesting about it. It's just there's 6 Batmans and there's like 5 Superman, and that's the game, right? That's not fun. But with Heroes, it's super diverse. Like, they keep releasing new battlegrounds. They experiment, like Abathur. That kind of hero doesn't exist in the other games, and as a result, we see some really wonky stuff. As the game starts to get 100+ heroes, and it's at the same kind of like depth in terms of like the champion meta, if you will, who knows what to expect.
How do you feel about the game's strategic diversity? Do you think there's enough options that teams have as far as the kind of strategies they're going to try, the kind of things they do, or do you think that a lot of teams just sort of have to draft to do, because it's objective based?
Yeah.
So do you think in a lot of cases you end up just having to like go around that objective?
In a lot of ways, yes, but the teams definitely approach it in different ways. Like, just for example, stylistically, in Asia, they preference warriors. Like, you'll see first picks on a new Barak, and that's unheard of in America. And sometimes they'll run 2 to 3 warriors at a time, but in Europe, they preference having mobility. They want to have that global presence, like heroes that can teleport instantly across the map. They want to be able to maximize their experience game. But in NA, it's just in your face. They want the big damage dealers. They want to just win in the team fight. So there's definitely different styles that exist. And considering how small the hero pool still is, like 37 now, I think it's impressive.
So let's talk a little about the event. This is basically the first international event. I guess technically there was that IEM, but that was only Asia and I think one team from Europe.
Yeah, just
MVP
like versus Virtus Pro.
Yeah. So how do you prepare for something like that? Do you watch a lot of Southeast Asia games? Did you watch any like VP or not Europe, but like Korean games, that kind of thing? Have you been watching OGN?
Yeah, basically we were super swamped. We had to prepare for the August NA Open, so we were at Blizzard for like 5 days and then at ESL for 4 days. So that took a lot of time away, but seriously, we dedicated the entire rest of the week to just watching VODs. You just studied OGN. They do a really good job. We have great production to watch. We could see MVP Black, and they're here representing Korea. They're not even considered the favorites. So we actually got to watch them lose a lot of games to teams like Snake or DK out there. But yeah, we definitely had to just kind of take a look at the way they draft, like the way they approach the team fights. Are they flanking a lot, stuff like that. And the same deal for Europe. I mean, we watched the EU finals for the second NA Open, or second EU Open they had, and we learned a lot about just all the different styles.
Do you think there's going to be any surprise upsets? Do you think MVP is going to go all the way?
MVP are definitely a strong favorite, but with E-Star dropping out, the Chinese team, Tempo is a free ride to finals, and honestly, I hate to call out.
I don't know, man. Cognitive was pretty confident.
I've already heard they have some mechanical issues, like keyboard issues and stuff like that. Yeah, they're already struggling before the match has even started. So Cog looks very good, but once they get tilted, they crumble, and this is their first LAN. Tempo is already proven LAN. The first time they played LAN versus Cloud9 at the WCA Finals, they 3-0'd them. And that was when they broke the curse of Cloud9 being the top team. So they've already proven they strive in this environment. It's because of Zuna. Zuna is so experienced. He played in Worlds and League of Legends. He's been around for a long time.
He's also really loud.
He's also really loud, but he brings so much to the team in this kind of environment to like hype them up and amp them up and just focus on the game, and he just kind of controls the flow. He's such a power for them, and I just think the other teams not having LAN experience, Tempo is by far the favorite in my eyes.
Do you think, Tempo and Cloud9 have played in finals probably like 50 times in the last 6 months or a year or whatever, and they're pretty likely gonna play tomorrow because Cloud9 got a free ride, and then Tempo is probably gonna be Cognitive. Do you think Cloud9 can finally, kind of break that curse, I guess, get that monkey off their back?
It just all comes down to whether or not they can perform on LAN. I think the team is more than capable of doing it, but whether or not they can perform on LAN is another story because, again, that's when they got tilted. They heard Zuna yelling, and it got in their heads. It messed with them, and they didn't play on point, and they haven't beaten Tempo since then. They haven't been able to take a tournament, or actually, no, they did take.
Yeah, they won your tournament, right? Yeah.
Okay. I lied. That was my. Anyways, it's going to be really tough because there's a crowd here. It's going to be loud, and Tempo's on fire.
So the one last thing I want to talk a little about is kind of the team landscape in North America. We're in this situation now where teams have already qualified for regionals, and there are no more qualifiers. We know all the North American teams that are going to the Americas. And a lot of those teams, the ones that didn't make it, they're sort of in this situation where it's like, why do we stick together? We're probably going to disband, or they're swapping rosters and that kind of thing. Do you think that's going to keep happening, like after regionals or like after BlizzCon? Where do you see? Do you think there's going to be enough events to keep teams together, or do you think it's going to be kind of like the Wild West?
Heroes is in a really weird spot where there are so many companies that are anxious for it to be huge, right? Because it's a Blizzard game, it has this immediate expectation where it has to be like the biggest, best thing. The fact of the matter is the game is super young, right? It's in its infancy still. It's barely been launched. It still doesn't have an in-game draft system we can use. Like the Observer client is non-existent really. I mean, we have a community member Ollie that made one. So when it comes down to that, when it comes down to being an organizer, there's all these extra hurdles you have to think about. And I would find that to be a barring thing for some orgs. As time goes on, yes, we might see a dip in teams after BlizzCon. I mean, even after TI, you see roster shuffle.
Right, exactly. Right. That's sort of the comparison I was thinking of.
Right, there's going to be roster shuffle. Every game, Call of Duty, after Worlds, shuffles. Like, it happens. It's natural. But when Heroes will finally see like a large team stability is when more sponsors get involved. When you have CLG, TSM, these other big orgs that decide to invest in the game, that's not going to come until Heroes is hitting bigger numbers and has more stability. And it's just going to take time.
All right, well, I think the VP game is going to start pretty soon, so we'll get back to it. Is there any shout-outs, any special thanks you want to give?
Mainly my fiance. She's the only reason I'm able to do this. She supported me for a while, so big shout-out to her. Shout-out to ESL for, giving me a job. I do a lot of stuff for them. That's cool. And my nerds over at Town Hall Heroes, we do a podcast every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And we bring our pro players. It's like state of the game for Heroes of the Storm, so if you are at all interested in our scene, it's very young. It's a good time to get into it.
All right, well, I think we'll let you go. Thanks.
Thanks, man.